What up? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast. It's Nat, Justin, and Kariemah. So we have made it. We have made it, as in the podcast has made it, and the Warriors have made it to the All-Star break. They needed it. They needed it. And they made it one game over 500. So progress. They survived tonight. It was a survival game because honestly, I don't know what it is about them. Maybe they just don't need to get up big in games, Justin. Maybe Kariemah, if they just keep it like within 5 to 8 points, that will guarantee a win. Because it seems like when they get up to like 15 or more points, they just don't know how to act. And it's always like late in the third or like fourth quarter. They just start, I don't know. The shot quality becomes worse. And I'm not saying that the other teams don't step up. We didn't record a pod last night, so we can talk about the Clippers. But let's start with the Jazz since tonight is the Jazz game. But I didn't really feel like the Jazz was doing something so great defensively. They were playing some of the passing lanes, and the Warriors kept doing silly ass passes. And but I thought like the shot quality was not great. I thought like they weren't taking the best shots. They seemed rushed, like instead of just like eating some of the clock, making sure they had good possessions. Now I could be wrong. That's what I observed. So I definitely would love Justin's expertise and want to know what you think, Kariemah. But I just thought that I just kept watching the lead go down. And with each possession, I'm like, what are these shots? Like, why are you doing this? Why is this so hard? There's like 2 to 3 minutes left. Can you just slow down? Take good shots, be smart. Like, can you just do that for a 3-minute period? The answer was no. The answer was actually no, they could not. And thankfully, the Utah Jazz just missed their final shot. Like, that's all I could say because they could not do that. And Steph was missing free throws tonight. So it was just a kind of bizarre night, Draymond said on his pod before, like, you got to sometimes steal some games you're not supposed to win. That was a game. I mean, let me say that. That's a game they were supposed to win, but then they started acting stupid, and so they should have lost. But thankfully, they made it out. So anyway, here we are with them one game over 500. We'll start tonight with ladies first. So, Kariemah, what did you think?
I mean, you were spot on with the late game execution. That's where it just, granted, yes, the lead started eking, just like Fitz said, leaking oil. That is what started to happen. And then I think also what happens is that the fatigue factor
For
weighs
sure.
in heavily. You're on a back to back. Now you're in altitude and you traveled. So all of those things working together and how much effort you put into the game the night before, and then you get that gut punch of a loss. So this, I just think late game, you're fatigued, your brain is no longer functioning, and it's just now you're just throwing up stuff. You're making passes that, why are you throwing it there? There is no reason for that. Just all of those things just folding into almost a complete collapse, because it didn't all the way go away, but we were this close of just a
I was
full
prepping
on
for a pod where we were
collapse.
coming on to talk about the Warriors blowing
I
another lead.
I
That's what
I
I was prepping
just I was, Ajita. I was just like, no, this cannot be happening. Please make it stop. And so and then here we are on the other side of it, thankfully, but a huge sigh of relief just to get out of there and get to this break, because that's what happens. It's like senioritis to me. You know that, okay, a break is coming up, and then everybody's just like a rush to the finish line there. But look, we got the win, and that's what counts. That's what's in the column, a W, and we'll take it. But this definitely has to get figured out. So hopefully this break allows them to regroup. Take it away,
Yeah.
Justin.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, I think the table was set for a collapse when Steve put out that completely confusing lineup with no Steph, no Klay, no Draymond, no Gary, no JK. It's like these are your 5 most dynamic players. Like as far as like what they can do defensively between Draymond and Gary, and what they can do offensively between Steph, Klay, and JK. Those are your 3 top scorers. So you probably need at least one of them on the court. Probably need at least one of Draymond and Gary on the court to establish, some type of defensive intensity. Like Wiggins was out there. He's out there pretty much by himself. Like Dario and Loon just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Dario just doesn't make sense, period, at all anymore. Like, I don't know what it's going to take for him to come back, but he's not been good. And I don't want to see him anymore.
Yeah. I mean, he had a good first half, but you can't, he's one of those dudes that you just can't play too much. Like you try him for a little bit, he's playing well. All right, that's your stint for the night. Like we're not going to over push it. Like when you push it over the top, then the flaws are going to start to come out, especially at that point in the game where Jazz are desperate. Their best players are on the court, and it's like you're up comfortably, but it's 2024 in the NBA. Like team is going to hit 3 threes in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like a 19-point lead is like a 7-point lead, really. So play your better players at the beginning of 4th, put them away, and then you can put in your garbage time lineup to finish that game out. So
I think what annoyed me the most was that pass to Trayce under the basket. And like, it was like why? Like, what do you expect him to do in that moment when there's like 3 Jazz around him?
Yeah. That it was just Dario.
Why did you think? And like, I'm sorry, like none of y'all are good at cross-court passes. Just stop it.
Right.
And transition, not ever. Like, stop doing them. You telepath them. People know they're coming. They hop into the lane. They grab it. It's a fast break. Points off turnovers. Like, just stop them. Stop. Please stop. Like, I don't know.
5 or 6 of them completely just pick 6 every time.
Like, do we need to hold signs up? Like, do they like? What is it? Please stop them.
It's like kid stuff. It's like, oh, he's open over there. They don't see the defender right there that's waiting for you to throw it. It's completely like.
It causes me anxiety. Not even anxiety. It makes me angry, like irrationally angry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they run a back-to-back. I guess you can give them some benefit of the doubt as far as like fatigue level and mental fatigue. But some of this stuff is just like, bro, this is like basketball 101. You can't not see the defender right there.
And I don't give them a fatigue fast because they were sort of lethargic to start the game. And then they like got out of it, right? And it's like, okay, I do get it. Second night of back-to-back, but it's like, Steph, you haven't had to do this much. Klay carried, did what he needed to do, right? Andrew was giving you a solid game. Others were tripping in. I mean, they had how many points did they have in the first half?
I think 84.
84? Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was. And Steph didn't score the bulk of them, right? Like, so I think, was he still in single digits at that point?
Yeah.
Probably.
He had 9 points.
So it's like, to me, after you do all of that, you can focus for 2 to 3 minutes. Like, that's all you need. It's just like, that's it. All right, let's just be serious about these last few minutes. And we going into the break, y'all. We going into the break. Couldn't even get that. So, it's like they won, and I'm happy they won and that they're over 500. But it's not one of those wins that feels good. Now, I will say, like, on the Warriors pregame today, they were discussing if after the Clippers loss, like, did the Warriors regress? And I didn't feel like that after the Clippers game. I was annoyed that they gave the lead literally the same way that they did before. But because they'd won however many in their last number of games, and because of the way they played most of the game, like what I felt like last night wasn't even like a fatigue thing. It was just like one of those, like, we have a big lead. We let up. We let our foot off the gas. And it's unfortunate because they could have beaten that Clippers team. But they didn't. Right. So like with that, I wasn't actually that annoyed by it, but it was just like, come on, man. Like, this is a game you could have had. And it was in Chase, and you just can't keep. This is the same exact way you lost to this team. I want them when they lose to a team to have pride the next time they play them and not want to beat them again, right? Like, I don't know, manifest the hate that you once had for the Clippers, right? And do it. Because the same way Draymond got up for the Suns and got all worked up, get yourself worked up for the Clippers. Like, do something. So I was frustrated by that loss, but not the way that I am tonight. Because it's just like, if you would have showed me the signs from the very beginning, I would have been like, all right, back to back. I get it. They're tired. They're older. And even with that, it's like, there's some stats I think that Fitz was saying on the air about like their offensive, their efficiency or something like that, like in back-to-back games. Like they have one of the higher ones, I think only behind OKC. And then on top of it, you have lots of young dudes on this team, right? That you can like get something from. Moody, who you didn't play tonight, Trayce, who you could play many more minutes, Pods. I know Kuminga wasn't having like a great night, but still, you have a lot of young legs that you can like throw out on a back-to-back like this, who are positive players who can help you, right? And I would get it if Moody had been bad like the last two games. Like the first game, he was rusty when he came back, but he was solid last night. So, and thankfully that was the night that Kerr was there, because I know if he would have did what he did the night with Kenny, he probably wouldn't even seen the game the next day. In fact, I think he probably only saw the game because was there somebody in foul trouble? I can't remember, but I feel like that might have been the reason why. But you have young legs you can use. You don't even have to, and I consider Andrew Wiggins still young. So you don't have to like force the older guys to do like a crazy amount of minutes. So I do feel like I'm just not willing to give them the tired back-to-back excuse, Kariemah.
Well, I would push back on that because you could see on Curry's face, he was tired. But again, he's carried a huge load throughout this win streak that with all of the travel, because they were just in Utah.
Sure.
And then, and everything is just,
but he was
you're
carried
just
all
going,
night.
going.
They didn't need much from Steph tonight. So
But-
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
no, but he was still
carried
out
all
there.
night.
But he was still out there
in the
setting
last few minutes.
screens, playing defense. Like, just because he wasn't getting all those shots up, but he was still out there working. But you could see that he's sucking air. But he's out
Right,
there
but
and he's going to
not
work
just
through.
him. I'm not just putting it on him. You could see that in Curry's face. But my point is that you have enough players that, like, even if Curry's tired, like, there's still, Pods looked like he was full of energy. My point is that they have lots of young legs, right? Put Trayce out there, get some lobs to him, get some easy buckets. You don't have to lean into your vets. So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't really care about the back-to-back, because you guys mustered enough energy to put up 84 points in the first half, to then for Klay to go off in the third quarter. You mustered enough energy to get through most of the game. So I don't want to hear for the final 3 minutes, like, you just can't focus and muster energy. Like, if it was lethargic and like that the entire game, I'd just be more willing to accept that. That's all.
Yeah, I think in that final stretch, they had enough energy. It was just, it seemed like their process was a little bit off. And then, like, at that point, the Jazz was already like, they were going like crazy at that point, right? They had built up some momentum. They were hitting every shot. I mean, they were hitting threes all game, but they really had a surge at the end there. And then, like I said, that lineup to start the fourth kind of set them behind the 8 ball. And then it's like, all right, win the game, guys. Like, go back in and fix everything. And that's just like a tough position to be in. And at that point, it seemed like Klay cooled off, right? He was a little bit cold. Steph was definitely cold late in the game. I mean, he was kind of cold the whole game, but
whole game, right?
He was like pressing a little bit, missing some shots, trying to get to the rim. The Jazz were really loading up on him. So it was just, at that point, the momentum has shifted so much to the Jazz that it was just like, all right, just kind of hobble across the finish line the best way you can. But yeah, I mean, it's no excuse to miss those free throws late. The defensive mistakes, the rebounding mistakes, really no excuse. But
multiple missed rebounds.
Yeah.
2 nights in a row, but like this, like so many times, like if you just grab the board, they couldn't even do that. Justin, what do you think about the fact that like even now, okay, you've gotten more offensive firepower from Kuminga. You know, you have some other weapons that you've discovered now. Why is it that their crunch time offense is always just Steph, save us, Steph, do like I just feel like I get that they don't have another person who can create for themselves. Like they have other people who can play make, but not like necessarily self-creators. I get that. I get that. But I still feel like they have enough people who can make decisions, can do something with the ball in their hands, that like we could get some other stuff to run besides, okay, let's just get the ball to Steph and have him do it. Because he can do it a lot of the times, but that just still seems hard and it seems difficult. And I just don't understand why they can't come up with something else.
I mean, it seems to me that the skill sets of the other players that's out there just don't lend themselves to generating anything good because.
But is that true? Because I see like since Draymond has come back, a few times I see him like they kind of stall and he'll like go get a layup. He'll like, right, he'll do other things. You're telling me they can't ever create like at that point in the game an easy look for Kuminga at the rim? They can't do anything else. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that like the other guys have all these other skills they can do, but it cannot be that the only thing you can generate is get the ball to Steph and hope he makes a three or he does something. Like, especially because he's getting so much attention, other guys are out there. They can't get anything else.
I mean, this is why I've been saying Klay needs to finish the games, kind of regardless of what he's doing out there. But like they can get JK shots at the rim, right? Like, but they only get them when Steph draws two people. So it's like it's only when that 3-on-1, 3-on-2 happens and Draymond can throw that lob or he can dump it down or something like that. But that play doesn't happen unless Steph brings Draymond's defender with him away from the basket. Now, I mean, looking at the other players, it's like, okay, you throw the ball to JK. He's not really like a great ISO scorer from the perimeter. And teams aren't going to let him just get an ISO post up at the end of the game. They can try to get one, but that's just not going to happen. Wiggins, I wouldn't really trust to generate anything offensively at the end of games. And then Pods and Draymond are like two of the same, where it's like teams are going to play off of them a little bit. And if you want to put your late game offense in the hands of Pods making threes or Draymond making threes, it's like that's just not going to get you anything. So with that lineup specifically, it kind of it dissolves into, all right, Steph pulls somebody's defender away from them. We pass it to that open person and we try to play from there. And that's just, it is what it is. Like, now, this is why I brought Klay up, because when Klay's in the game, he at least can bring his defender and another defender with him when he's moving off the ball as well. We saw it at the end of the game in the Clippers game. Like, he was sitting for most of that fourth quarter. He came in, he ran that pin down with Draymond. Draymond got wide open, going to the basket. He kicked out to Pods. Pods hit the three. And then he obviously made the very dumb mistake of fouling Russell Westbrook immediately after that. But that's just what I'm saying. Like, teams respect Klay in a way that they don't respect any of the other players but Steph on the team. So that helps generate.
But in most of these games, Klay has been there. So, like, when I'm asking that question, I'm saying that with Klay on the court. And I still see them only, like, get it to Steph, get it to Steph. Like, I'm just, you know, to me, it's not even about, like, if Klay's on or off. It's just, you guys can't come up with anything better. You've known for a very long time that you don't have a secondary creator. You've had enough time to see what the skill sets are of each player. You can't come up with any creative plays or something that y'all can utilize or go to. That's all I'm saying. Like, it just, because if it's always just go to Steph and the teams know it's just go to Steph, like, it's going to always be very hard.
I think, but you do see some of that getting mixed in, because even late in this game, you did see the dribble handoffs happening, Draymond getting the layups, Kuminga going in, getting the lobs and stuff. So you did see that. Yes, we went on that whole like 4-minute drought.
That tonight.
Yeah, we saw that.
They got a few layups.
They did.
Right,
And
but
But it's
I brought up
off Steph.
Dre, meaning like that he's the only one
no, I said, and
seen.
Kaminga was in there with the lob and everything like that. But it's also other players. You got
What time in the game
moving
was that?
too.
Are you saying this?
I this was in the fourth, though. This was in the
Right, but I'm
fourth.
talking about
And
crunch time. I'm talking about those final few minutes, and I don't see other players besides Steph. Like even if you're saying
right.
it's one game tonight, as a general matter, that's not what I've seen. This is like I tweet this every game almost. Like I'm watching, and I'm like, there's nothing. It's like every game. So like when Dre came back, I noticed a concerted effort from him. He's like, all right, I'm gonna just. That's great, but keep doing that, Draymond, or we need other people to do something. You know, it's like it just cannot be only Steph. To me, that is ridiculous.
I agree. I just think also those players need to take a more proactive role. You know that late in the game, the teams are going to target Steph. And isn't that always what we're saying? Oh, put the ball in your best player's hand at the end of the game, yada, yada, yada. But it's also, okay, we're doing that, but it does take the rest of the players on the court to make things happen, make
Agree, but
yourself
that's the
available.
team plan. That's their team plan. So if that's what they work on, they're like,
That's the
okay, this is what
play.
we're gonna
Yep.
do. So I can't say like, oh, they should go off script and do something else. You know, they're not gonna do that. You know, Paz is maybe the only one who even has the guts to maybe even do something like that. Like even Jonathan Kuminga, as cocky as he is, when it starts to get late, you see him just looking for Steph, right? And I remember, I forget what game it was a few games ago, where I'm like, I really feel like if he would have just gone to the rim, they could have got something, because there was like a brief moment. I don't think you were with us that night, Justin, but I think whatever game it was just me and Kareem. We talked about it, and like he had an opening, but like it was just like he was so focused on trying to get the ball to Steph that didn't even happen. And that, to me, that's a philosophy of the team, right? That's not something where they're doing that because that's the philosophy of the team.
Yeah. And that's been something that we've been kind of worried about all season. Like even from the beginning of the season, you look at the roster and you're like, there's really no guy on the team that you can see they're going to be comfortable running offense through or around, or even going off. I wouldn't even say going off script, but like you said, just being dynamic in a way that they can, you know, acknowledge that Steph is the go-to guy down the clutch, but just make plays on their own. And since they don't have that, or they don't feel comfortable in the guys that they do have, Steve is just pretty much like,
he doesn't empower them to do that. And I just feel like you have to, because it's only going to get tighter as the postseason comes.
Right.
So you have to start trying things like that and empowering them so they're comfortable later.
For sure.
I just don't get it.
I mean, the script is very obvious at this point. It's Steph and Draymond high pick and roll, and they're gonna try to get it downhill. I mean, it's gonna work like most of the time, but a lot of it's starting to work less and less and less and less. And it's becoming Steph, keep dribbling. Like, oh, they've taken this pass away. All right. Or you don't feel comfortable throwing this pass to Draymond in this position. So you're going to keep dribbling, gnashing. That's what it's called. Like we just keep dribbling under the basket. And he's going to keep doing that until he gets a late shot clock grenade and tries to throw something up or get a foul. And yeah, they got to diversify that attack at some point. So maybe use him as a screener a little bit more in the clutch. They do it every other time of the game.
Okay. Anything else about this Utah Jazz game? I mean, Klay looked good.
He came off the bench. He said, it's funny. He said he had fresher legs.
Yeah.
That don't really make sense to me, but I think it was definitely bullshit. I mean, I don't know how you can have fresher legs to come into a game coming off the bench. I can see if he said, yeah, I had fresher legs in the fourth quarter because I came off the bench, played less minutes, but he said I had fresher legs going into the game. I think it was just playing at the thing.
Was he trying to say like he waited longer to play? So I don't know.
Does that even make sense? I don't think that makes sense to me.
Well, listen, whatever you want to tell yourself,
right,
to help to motivate you, to keep you like connected in the game, that's what you tell yourself. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
He came off the bench. He got to work. So that was the point of it. Stay focused, stay locked in, do what you have to do. And that's what he did.
Yeah, I think that's what it
Thankfully.
was.
Okay, so whether he's telling himself stories or not, I want to know, do we think coming off the bench aided him in any way? And whether it did or didn't, thoughts on him coming off the bench?
I mean, I think it did only because they made a concerted effort to feature him in the offense when he came off the bench. I think when he starts, it's like the Steph and JK show now. And a lot of times, like I tweeted this today, I said like Klay is not the type of player where you can just say like get your offense within the flow, right? Like because teams aren't going to allow him to get the offense in the flow. They're going to face guard him. They're going to send two people at him and stuff like that. So it's not the type of dude where it's like, yeah, you'll get your open shots if you just play off of these other guys. He can't play off of other guys because defense don't let him. So like you have to, have him coming off double screens, have him catching the ball, curling into mid ranges and stuff like that, and say like this play is designed to get Klay a shot, like a high quality shot. Because if he doesn't, he's going to be out of rhythm. And then when he finally does touch the ball, he's going to shoot something quick. And it's like, well, you're hijacking the offense. Like, well, yeah, he hasn't got a shot in like 5 minutes. But so I think when he came off the bench today, first play of the game when he checked in was get him that mid-range shot off the out of bounds. He ended up missing it, but it was a good shot. And then from there, he was kind of in rhythm. From there, they just kept looking for him. So whether he starts or comes off the bench, I think if they look for him and try to get him open, screen for him, he'll be more consistent. He'll be better. So I don't really care whether he starts or comes off the bench. It just makes more sense for the team if they feature him a little bit more. The same thing with Jonathan. When they started featuring him, he started playing better, more consistent. Like Steph, Klay, and Jonathan, your three best scorers. You got to kind of act like it. You can't just be like, well, it's only two at a time. Like either we featuring Steph and Klay and no Jonathan, or Steph and Jonathan and no Klay. It's like you can do all three. Like I don't understand why they don't try that. So that's my assessment of it.
What did you think, Kariemah?
I thought it was a good play right there. Have him start maybe getting comfortable coming off the bench, kind of like introducing that hey, maybe sometimes we're going to have you come off the bench. Other times you're starting, but the point is we just need you to be locked in and give off more of a positive vibe or whatever in each game. That's it. So I was fine with it. Was I shocked? I was surprised only because it was just like, oh, wow, he's coming off the bench. First time. All right, no problem. But let's see how his game evolves when that happens. And he showed out and we needed it. And that was fantastic. So who knows? Coming off of the break when we're back, he's probably back in the starting lineup. Maybe it's just going to be how they work it with, hey, if it's a back-to-back, let's have him come off the bench on back-to-backs or whatever. Who's to say? But at least they introduced it. And now, there should be no like hard feelings or whatever. If they say, hey, tonight's the night, you'll come off the bench. But it's really about when you get into play, are you holding up your end of the bargain? That's really what it is. So, and he did that.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I don't really care either who starts. I truly don't care who starts. I know that I don't know that they have a set lineup that's best for closing. That's my only takeaway right now. Like I know that the lineup that started today is a super positive lineup, just like in terms of, the data. But I don't know if that means that it should be your closing lineup, right? Like obviously Klay in the lineup is still a good choice too. So I would like them to figure out who should be closing. Because at this point, I feel like more of their struggles are coming end of game. So I would just like them to have like a sense of, even if it's not going to be the same five, if there's going to be variations with Gary or if there's going to be variations that don't include Klay, whatever. I just need them to kind of start getting that together. But I don't care. I'm sure Klay cares, but I don't care who starts. You're still going to play a lot of minutes. And I don't know. I don't know if like the benching really helps this game or not. I think you're going to have good games from Klay still. And I think sometimes you're not, and I just think that's sort of, for the most part, who he is as a player now. When you talk about featuring him in the offense or just featuring him in general, it's interesting to me because remember last year when we used to always talk about JP, and I used to always be like, we'd say they don't have the right pieces around Jordan for him to really thrive and excel in that second unit. And that's why I used to largely defend Jordan, because people are like, why does he want to start? Like, he hasn't earned that. He just needs to come off the bench, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't think Jordan should start because I didn't think the numbers reflected that Klay starting was still the better lineup, right? So that's really what it was. But I understood like why he wanted to start. And I would always say, look, if you put Klay in the second unit, he's going to struggle, just like JP, right? Because the right pieces aren't there to like support him. So I felt it was unfair that the fan base was always like, oh, JP sucks. He's not doing, like, he did have some issues, but I'm just saying, it's like they also didn't do anything to help him, right? Like, they put him in a lineup and wanted him to be like Steph. He's not Steph. And the surrounding pieces weren't great. So I just think, because I feel like everyone gets impacted, right, by that second lineup. Or Pods actually is okay if he comes off the bench. But like, I think, yes, I do think Kuminga should be starting, but I also think a lot of the difference in, his play and how he took off, I think a function of that was moving into the starting lineup, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, everyone is going to play better next to Steph. Everyone is going to, look better. And not everyone can thrive in that second unit, right? Like, one of the reasons, and obviously the team looks very different, but that was like part of the whole Harrison Barnes starting versus Andre coming off the bench. Harrison would perform better in the starting lineup, where Andre could still perform with the second unit, right? And so, and thankfully, Andre ego, I don't want to say it wasn't a big deal, but like, he was really good about it. And so figuring out like who are the best players to have and coming off the bench, and then having the right pieces around them, like not just for this year, to me is going to be so important going forward, because you have to have the right pieces around these guys coming off the bench. I see a lot of people tweeting about, no, it's going to be great when Chris Paul comes back. Justin, I know you tweeted about this. I tweet about Trayce almost nightly. Play him with Klay. Like, it works. But a lot of people are like, man, when you put Chris Paul in there, that second unit is going to look so good. And I'm like, is it? Is it? I don't know, Justin. What do you think about that?
I think it has potential. I think
you've seen those tweets, right?
Of course. Chris Paul comes to the bench, going to do so much for Klay and Dario. It's not going to fix their defense. Klay's not bad on defense, but like, the more negative defenders that you add around players who are not guys who drive your defense, is not going to be a good outcome. So if they play Trayce with CP, I think that can work, right? We see how many shots he altered at the rim today, how many rebounds he secures, and how he uses his athleticism and his size. So that can help. But yeah, I guess we're just going to have to see. I'm guessing it's going to be CP3, Pods, Klay, running that second unit from the perimeter. I don't know.
Dario's getting in there. He's going to be
Dario
in that
gonna be
second
in there, I
unit.
guess. Dario
He
gonna be
is.
in there. So I can't see that lineup being like amazing. Maybe it does. Maybe it is. Maybe offensively it clicks. Maybe CP3 is just what Dario needs to get the looks that he was getting earlier in the season where he was actually scoring well, and maybe it helps Klay too. Who knows? But I guess we just got to see it. I'm not going to anticipate that it's going to be something like amazing that everybody thinks is going to be for Klay. Like I said, well, I mean, maybe Chris Paul is a guy who is looking to dish, right? So maybe it is better for Klay, right? I think Klay's issues, aside from him just missing open shots, being in his head, missing shots, is like I said, they don't feature him in the offense anymore. So he's not going to be consistent. If they do that, he's going to be more consistent. He might not be as consistent as he used to be when he was 27, but I think he's going to definitely be better than what we saw in the last month. So it starts and ends with that for me. But whether or not Chris Paul is the guy who does that for him, maybe he is. So we'll see.
Kariemah, when they come back after All-Star break, is Trayce going to have an actual spot in the rotation consistently? Because I think the best version of this team includes Trayce regularly in the rotation.
I agree. And I
With,
do
like-
hope. Go ahead.
With at least 15 minutes. I would say 15 to 20 minutes.
And I would be on the higher end of that as well. 20 minutes would be great to see because, again, I think he needs to get this feel. We're like tossing him into spots and things, and you can see, hey, look at this. He's looking good, looking good. Yes, he's going to foul a lot or whatever, but that's just kind of like getting the jitters out. But we have to give him some room to breathe and get these reps in because in the playoffs, we're still going to need him unless we've picked up someone off the buyout market that's going to,
But he's
kind
really
of
good.
push
I
him
don't even
down.
know.
Right,
Like-
but that's I'm just saying,
I'm
like
not
that
saying
he's
they shouldn't pick up someone, but he's really good.
Right.
Like he really helps us. Literally every time he comes into the game.
yeah,
I-
he's
yeah,
kind of like
it's
our
been, like,
Moses
one or
Moody.
twice. I haven't seen him like come in because I feel like there's more times like with Moody. I still want Moody to play, but I'm just saying I feel like there's more times with Moody where it's just like, okay, he's out of rhythm. He hasn't, whatever. And also like Kerr is not going to give them that much time to get in a rhythm. But I think there's maybe been one, maybe two. And I'm saying maybe two because I can't remember. But I only remember once, like Trayce sort of like came in and just didn't do what he normally does. Every time Trayce comes in the game, he alters shots at the rim. He gets them rebounds. It looks like they're like kids in candy shops. They just love throwing the ball up to him to like finish things. He helps the defense. Like he just does a lot of, good things, right? Like you can run pick and roll with him. Like I don't get it. Like Kerr's lack of confidence or trust or uneasiness when it comes to Trayce. There's nothing that Kevon Looney is doing right now or Dario that can be showing you that they should be getting more of those minutes over him. So I just want to know, will he realize it this season? Will he realize it in enough time so that Trayce gets the reps ahead of the postseason?
I mean, I hope so. If I had a crystal ball, I mean, I tell you definitively what it is, but all I can do is hope and pray that Steve and Kenny, since Kenny does do the rotations, realize you might want to put this dude in here and let's ease off of Dario ever playing the 5 again in his life. Because that is just not a winning recipe at all. And he probably feels bad about that too. Like he's probably embarrassed that he gets cooked so badly.
He's probably like, damn, man,
Yeah.
y'all keep putting me at the 5. Like I'm not. He like, I don't want to
It's
do
not
this.
me.
Like
It's not me.
I would be like that.
This is not my jam here. But I do hope that they really take a good look at what they have in Trayce and really just kind of just let it fly. I mean, as soon as we come back, we're playing the Lakers, and it's like right out the gate. Like, can we get a day off, please?
I'm LA.
But yeah. So I don't know where Trayce fits in that whole mix, but I don't care. Throw him out there. Just get him out there. Let him get boom boom in the chest or whatever. But just so he could start feeling what it's actually could potentially feel like thrown into a playoff game. Just something.
I agree. I mean, he produces. He provides things that they need. I mean, I think the same reason why Moody isn't playing is why Trayce isn't playing. I mean, Loon and Lester and Dario, they move the ball quicker. They know what to look for when they catch the ball in certain areas where
Why
Moody
didn't you need your center to do that? Why didn't you need your center to do that?
You really don't.
I mean, I can even give a little pass with Moody, but why does Trayce need to do those things?
Right. Like I was watching one play today where they hit Loon on a short roll and he faked a handoff or something like that. And he drove downhill and passed it to JK on the cut. It's like Trayce would never make that play, but like Trayce would just catch it and just probably try to dunk it instead. It's like, I mean, I would rather have the guy that's going to try to dunk it, like, to be honest.
Right. I just feel like Trayce is easy buckets.
Yeah.
And like
he is.
Why don't you just want easy buckets?
It's
why
way
does
more
it have to
valuable.
come through this complicated offense? Like, we can't just get some easy buckets?
And those things are way more valuable, especially off the bench, than the play connecting stuff that Draymond's already going to do and Pods is already going to do for 90% of the game anyway. You know what I mean? So you need somebody who's going to set these pin downs and just dive and dunk the ball. When two people go with Steph and two people go with Klay, he's going to catch it and he's going to dunk it.
Like, I feel like Trayce could have double digits every night.
And he can pass out of the short roll too. It's not like he's dissecting the defense, but he sees somebody that he knows he probably has a hard time finishing over, or a defense shifts over. He makes that pass to the corner like pretty consistently, and I think he'll get even better at it if he just gets more reps. So, I mean, and then defensively, it's not even close at this point. He's so much more mobile and active. You know, he may get a foul here and there just from jumping, or he might jump himself out of position every now and then, but it's not like every play. You know what I mean? It's rare, actually. So, like, I would just lean into him being at the 5 whenever Draymond isn't on the court, which is probably like 15 minutes out of the game. Like, Draymond is playing what? How many minutes did he play today? 29. So, like, his normal average would be a 29 to 33 or something like that. Just give all the other center minutes to Trayce. Like, it's no need to see if Loon got it today, if Dario got it today.
Right.
They're not gonna have it.
It's kind of like start out with Trayce, let him
mess up, and then you bring
and then you be like, hey, all right, just let's get you a little break. Let's get you a little break, Trayce. Loon, go ahead. We don't need to see Dario at the 5, so Loon, go ahead.
Right. If you're gonna bring, you can bring Dario in as a 4 off the bench. Like, I think that should be a limited thing. I would rather try Moody at the 4, honestly. But yeah, let Trayce get the first rotation every time to see how much of a difference it makes. Yeah. Same thing with Moody and Lester, to be honest. Like, I like Lester, but it's there's a ceiling to what he can do on the court. And I like some of the things that he is doing, but I think it's just redundant. Whereas, like, I would rather have a redundancy in athleticism and finishing and length than a redundancy in like ball handling and like dribbling and stuff like that. Like, Pods is already providing a lot of that. You don't need too much of that. Like, but you can never have too many defenders. You can never have too many, athletes out there. Like, just play your athletes. I don't care about the connecting passes and stuff like that. Just play people who gonna get a stop. Like, because Sexton and Keontae was out there doing whatever they wanted all night.
Oh my God, George! I don't want to see him no more. Like, what was that?
I was like, dude, what?
It's tough, but
like, I was like, is he about to break Klay's record on threes the way he was shooting those? Like,
I was like, y'all better stop playing because he's getting too close to the record. It's making me uncomfortable. I don't know how much he finished with, but he had like 9 at one point. And that's when I remember being like, y'all better stop playing. Get serious.
Yeah, he's gunning for a pod spot in that rookie ladder. He's trying to climb up. It's not gonna happen though. But
Yeah, it isn't. Yeah, I was gonna say no. Pods is he should at least be. Is he at least top 5 yet? Because
He,
yeah, he's
they've been.
fourth.
he was fourth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
So
probably gonna stay at fourth, but
probably.
let's
Yeah.
stay at fourth. Don't dip down. We want that first team.
That's impressive, though, when you
Yeah.
consider he's
Sure.
like
19.
ranked at 19. I've been doing a lot of pods research lately. Yes, I'm gonna plug myself because I'm really, really excited. If anyone tuned into Warriors pregame today, if you did not realize it, there was a segment on Podziemski, and it started with a video essay narrated by yours truly, narrated and written by yours truly. So,
Getting them
Damn.
writing
girl, you
credit.
ain't know that I wrote it, Justin?
Both
Getting
oh, I
them
knew.
writing
I'm just
credit.
So no, for real, like all jokes aside, I was actually super nervous, but like the finished product I was really pleased with. And I got to give a shout out to Matt Ortiz, one of the production assistants who put that together for me. I mean, obviously we collaborated on it, you know, but I really just sent him a recording and I sent him some supporting stuff, and you know, he brought me something that I could, you know, rock with, and then we just tweaked it from there. So we actually still have a little bit of further tweaking to do, but it will be available on NBC Sports Bay Area's website and YouTube tomorrow on Friday. I don't have a time yet, but it will be there, and it will be there ahead of the Rising Stars game. So I'll tweet that out. I'll post it on Instagram, share it, but y'all go check it out. I hope you like it. I hope you like it. I liked it. I felt good about it. I was really proud of it.
There you
You
have
should
it.
be.
Can we get
Can't
some
wait.
confetti? Can we get some confetti going?
Ooh, let's see.
There we go.
Thank
Did that work
you.
for me?
My first
Finally.
video essay. Yay. Hopefully more to come.
Just a minute, exactly.
But yeah, back to, I mean, Brandon's just great. I don't know how much you can say about him. I'm gonna have to update the video anyway because he had another 10, 5-5 game. Just killing it. He has the highest total plus minus on the team, like substantially higher.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is crazy for a rookie. I mean, we know plus minus isn't everything, but when you consider that both Steph and Draymond are kind of like always leaders or at the top in plus minus, for him to like overtake them, you know. And I mean, I think Chris Paul is up there. He's actually another plus minus person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of myself too because I complimented him in the video essay. So
Chris Paul.
It's the little things, right?
Yeah, she got a point guard reference.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually worth 2 compliments.
Big.
Yeah.
Huge.
Nah, but for real. So I mean, but Potts has just been amazing, you know.
He has.
It's gonna be, I mean, I hate to keep always looking past it this season, but it's gonna be interesting to see next year. I feel like by next year he's definitely going to work himself into the starting lineup. I do. So it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward. And, you know, if Kerr sticks with this, he may have done it this year, but I still feel like, I just feel like the starting lineup, I don't know when he's going to solidify it. You have to at some point, but I think that we're going to see a change again. But I would say, I guess the positive in that is that they played a few different starting lineups. So if they need to switch it up, you know, in the postseason, then they've played a few different versions of it.
Yeah. I mean, just build
the reps. Matchup dependent, right?
I think so. I mean, I think for the most part, if everyone's playing at their normal level, then the one that they've been rocking with is pretty matchup proof. But like Pod's in there, you see the numbers with that lineup. I like to see it a little bit against like certain levels of competition and a bigger sample size. But yeah, just having reps with all these different players and combinations is only going to help because you build that chemistry. You understand what players are going to be and all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Any more on the games? Either one, Utah or the Clippers. Justin, I heard but have not seen it yet that you did a pretty nifty thread on the Clippers game. So are there any big takeaways?
Same ones. Play Trayce and Moody. Play Trayce and Moody. Other than that, I mean, I guess speaking to that lineup, I think, against bigger teams, like the Clippers aren't a huge team, but they're big on the wing. Like they have a lot of athleticism and stuff like that. Like it's really hard for the Steph and Pods backcourt to survive defensively against those type of teams. Like late in the game, it was just like pick and roll, Zubac is rolling, and Pods or Steph has to help on that roll and close out to Norman Powell in the corner or Amir Coffey, and they're just cashing threes because they're not getting out there fast enough. So that can be problematic. And then neither one of them are guys that's going to stick in front of elite ball handlers, one-on-one late in games. So you got to deal with that, and you got to deal with the other one. It's the same thing with Steph and Chris Paul. It's like one of them's going to be picked on, and the other one's going to have to make multiple rotations in the same possession, where it's like they're at an athletic disadvantage and a size disadvantage already. So it could be problematic against certain teams, but that's the only, outside of playing Moody and Trayce more, that's the only takeaway that I came with.
Okay. So, Kariemah, anything from you on the two games tonight or the Clippers last night?
That Clippers one was just that I really thought that they were going to win that. Mm-hmm. Just kind of, get the bad taste out of their mouth from the last time they played them. And yeah, no Kawhi or whatever, but they were doing all the right things. They even got Paul George fouled out. Like they were doing the right things until they weren't. And it was just like, this is happening. Why is this happening? Not now, not now. All this good work out the door. So I'm just glad we're over 500. That was the goal, to be over 500, to stack some wins. We did that. And so now I'm just looking forward to this break and for us coming back and sticking with the stacking the wins, playing good basketball, and actually, I think, working on our 2-minute drill and closing out a game. Like, and please, people, work on your free throws.
Nasty word.
Work on your free throws, because we only got there a few times, but we can't miss those. We've got to be making them on a more consistent basis. Granted, we don't get there a lot, but work on those.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, gonna wrap relatively quickly, but I just want to run two more things by you guys really quick. Let's start with the latest rumors and that the Warriors tried to acquire. They looked into getting LeBron James on the team. I would like to know what you guys' initial thoughts are when you first heard that news, because I personally found it disgusting. I thought it was nasty business. I was truly sick to my stomach, and aggravated, just a range of emotions, because why? Just why? Why? And why is Draymond begging this man to come to our team. And why was that information released a week after the trade deadline? And I think it's funny, all the LeBron fans and stands being like, "Oh, Steph," because one, Steph's name was never mentioned in the article. I don't think a trade of that magnitude obviously could be made without Steph buying into it. But I also feel like it was very strategic in that his name was not mentioned anywhere in the article, right? It was Draymond text to do this, he did that. LeBron's not interested. Lacob called, but there was literally no mention of like Steph's name. And I also think it's funny too how they try to like pretend like LeBron hasn't said before, like, oh, he'd want to play with Steph. Because remember when Steph was asked about it, he's just like, no, I don't think that's necessary, or whatever, however he phrased it. So it's just like, your boy put that out into the universe first before anything. So on the one hand, you could say, look, it's their responsibility to do, their due diligence. But I just find it ridiculous that like LeBron James is the player they were going after, right? And people like, to me, I think people are very unrealistically caught up in, aside from the fact that it just disgusts me and I don't want to hear all the, oh, they had to beg for LeBron, blah, 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 bullshit. I just like, the team does not need another old guy. I'm sorry, even if it's LeBron James and he's very good, because Draymond talked about this. These young guys are carrying them, legs, all of these things. Like LeBron James needs Anthony Davis to carry him on nights, right? So, I mean, if the case is that, well, because you have him and Steph, neither one of them have to do too much, maybe, but he's not going to be cheap. You'd be gutting and losing some depth to get him. And like, he's not in his prime anymore. He's still excellent on certain nights, but we know he cannot do that like consistently, repeatedly. So now you're still just putting more pressure on Steph, who's an older player, to carry like a bigger load. It doesn't make sense to me, Justin. Please help me understand.
Yeah, it was nasty work.
Clutch finance.
I agree. Yeah, it's clutch. Just clutch. I mean, it's very, like you said, very coincidental. The Warriors are surging, got a nice little win streak going. They're like, let me just drop this little nugget in here to kind of disrupt some of the frequency they got going.
Is that what you think? I saw a lot of people saying that as a potential theory. Is that what you think?
It could be. I mean, you think LeBron leaked it, right? You think it leaked from LeBron's camp?
I do.
Kind of like, hey,
it was Woj who broke it, right? Woj and Ramona. So we know Ramona covers the Lakers, but Woj, I think Woj is more of the. So it's interesting because actually Woj and LeBron, I actually don't think fuck with each other. I'm not sure. I always see Lakers fans saying it, but I always forget. Isn't Woj the one who like is more the organization contact and Shams is more the player contact, or do I have that reversed?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, either way, nasty work. As far as LeBron and the Warriors, like, I mean, the ceiling is obviously very high, but like you said, you're getting so much depth and like you're running a risk of one of those guys getting hurt, and now you're just kind of shit out of luck, kind of like with the Lakers. It's like they need LeBron and AD to be perfect for them to even be close to being good. And, yeah, it's just not a done deal. It's not like a guarantee at this point in his career that he's going to be able to stay healthy and all this type of stuff. And it's like, it's the Warriors and LeBron. Like, we already got Chris Paul. We don't need no more. Like, let's just bring James Harden and fucking Blake Griffin on the team. Like, let's just bring all the ops on the team at this point, right? Like, it's certain things called like franchise integrity and stuff like that. Like, you've already compromised that by bringing Chris Paul in there. So, like, let's just, let's not go completely overboard. Like, and I'm not even a LeBron hater. Like, I'm not even like typical Warriors fan level of LeBron, like, disdain, but it's like that's
you better than this. You above us.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not. But Nah, no Braun. We good off Braun over here. I mean, it's cool to watch them in the All-Star game sometimes. It's gonna be cool to watch them in the Olympics, but they don't need to play
Never
for the
thought
same
that was
NBA
cool. I
franchise.
mean, I didn't even like that, and I hate now that it's back to West. They didn't play together. Like the one time it happened, everybody was like, having orgasms over them being on the court together. I was like, this is nasty. I hope it
Come
never
on.
happens again.
The
Yeah,
All-Star
I
game is
didn't
like
like
a
it
pickup
either.
game, though.
I
I didn't like it either.
think
I was
Jeez,
really still
please.
like, ugh, why did he pick him?
Well,
I
Nat
knew
ain't got
I
no
knew
choice
he
now.
was because he's so
Well, me
thirsty to
too.
play with him. I was so
So thirsty. Yeah, but I'm with you. I think this was all clutch stuff happening because it's always clutch. Muddying the waters per usual. But look, they'll have their time to play together, like Justin said, on the Olympics team. That's it. That's where you can play with Stephen Curry. There you go. In the Olympics, that's it. But like Nat said, you do your due diligence. Hey, is he available? Let's pick up the phone. Let's call. Let's ask. Let's see. But again, Curry's just going to be carrying another old man? Like, why? Why? Unnecessary. Unnecessary. And then I have to hear from Laker folks just like, oh, see, your boy wanted to be that. Oh my gosh, disgusting. I hate it. I was just like, why? This was so unnecessary. Yet, we should not be surprised.
nasty.
Podmon. Shout out to Podmon.
No.
Well, he on the screen. What is he doing? He was like,
I don't even know. I was still trying to figure out what was he saying, but I was cracking up because I was like, I don't know what dude is saying, but listen, he kept himself together just enough. So I was like, all right.
Oh, is that what we're
We good.
running?
yeah, all right, yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'm talking about in the Clipper game. He kept
When he was calling
listen.
Paul George a P word in the
I ain't
game.
know what he was saying, but all I know is he ain't get thrown out, and things could have got real testy, but he maintained.
His therapy
You
was
know,
creating a BetterHelp account and then just never using it. I think that's what his therapy was.
listen, he could have really gone off with Pumley, taking out pods like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But he didn't. He didn't go off. So
that was clown behavior
gross.
from Plumlee.
Yeah, that was.
All right. That's why I'm really mad that they did not win that game. But we move. Okay.
That's right.
So the final thing I just want to talk to you guys about is All-Star game. Steph, we touched on it a little bit. He's going to be coming off the bench. I'm curious to see if he ends up playing like a bench player, meaning minutes.
I want him to.
Like that.
I want him to.
I know you said that, or utilize, more like a starter. But to me, the real treat of the weekend is Steph versus Sabrina. I would like to know from your perspective, Justin, because there's been a lot of conversation around the rules, and she's apparently going to shoot from like the NBA 3-point line. The moment it was released, that this competition was happening, she tweeted and said she's going to do that. She feels like her range is that anyway because she shoots way beyond the W line. So that's what she's opted to do. We also know, the ball will be smaller. There's some differences with the WNBA. That being said, I just wonder, and Kariemah, I just wonder, is this something, because I don't want her doing that just because she feels like people are not going to, like they're going to delegitimize, let's say she were to win, it would be like, oh, well, she's not shooting from here. But I don't feel like she should have to make it harder, for herself. Right. I feel like she's going to do it anyway, but I don't feel like she should, right? Some people have said, well, he should just actually move back to, the women's line and make it so that way she still has, but I just think they both should just play from each other's lines. I think the original setting and rules are fine.
Yeah, I agree. How she would do it in a W 3-point contest or in a W game, have that line, have that ball, whatever, and then he does the NBA line and NBA ball. I think it's pretty fair considering those are the lines and the balls that they use 99.9% of the time anyway, 100% of the time. So like, why are you changing stuff like that? I mean, I get why they did it. Like you just said, they try to, I guess cut out some of the negative discourse is going to come from it if she were to beat him or something like that. Like, and she can still beat him, but like, that's just, I don't know.
Go ahead, Justin.
No, it's very clearly like because people just are not good people. So they're just going to talk about it a certain way regardless. So they got to like do little things to, I guess, limit how much people talk shit about it.
Well, the thing is that she set the record shooting from the WNBA line, and everybody bugged out and freaked out and was like, yo, you just beat Stephen Curry's record. Yeah. So why, now that they're going to go head to head, why is it that now she's decided I'll shoot from his line? What up? Let's put the money on the table. She said it herself first before it was even, brought up with what are the rules going to be for this competition. I just think that even though she said that she would, I still think she should shoot from her spot.
I agree.
He shoots from his. Like the NBA, they don't have to go along with it just because she said she would. It's like, great, that's a nice gesture and everything, but you broke the record shooting from where you shot. He broke, he set his record shooting from where he shoots. So that's how it is, and that's how it should be done. So, but that's fantastic that she's, putting even an extra layer on top of her to try to, keep her record intact because he's chasing her record.
Facts.
So,
wow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going with Steph, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless.
Same.
Oh, wow.
Are we putting money on it? No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
No. All right. Well, this has been fun. Fun times.
It's like, I might.
All right.
But I got to get some sleep after multiple days of staying up late. So, but it was worth it. Video essay. Check it out. Plugging it now. Look out for it tomorrow. But yeah, the Dubs are one game over 500. That's the takeaway. And they're looking to come back hot after this All-Star.
50 wins?
Maybe. Still possible.
Always a chance.
All right, y'all. We appreciate you tuning in with us always. Oh, we're getting some stuff.
Maybe not, because I can never get it right.
You. It only respects Justin now.
Only respects Justin now.
Your thumbs are like this. They have to be like that.
Oh, look at Justin.
Immediately.
With the
Now you know what you got to do. See?
F y'all. Listen. Thanks for tuning in with us, y'all. We appreciate you. We'll probably do a mailbag over the break. But we do appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are following on Twitter and Instagram at Golden Spaces Pod. Give us a rating. 5 stars only. Give us a positive review. We'd appreciate it. Tell people about it. Tell your friends, your family, share it. Let them know how wonderful Golden Spaces Pod is, and especially with the addition of Kariemah. So we appreciate you. Go Dubs. And until next time, take care, y'all.
Peace.